To continue a topic, discussing a topic that was broached last night, that fanaticism, Krishna consciousness, is presented very strongly in Bhagavad Gita and by the Acharyas. Yet, at the same time, we were reading from Srila Prabhupada last night that fanaticism is frowned on. So, we have many strong statements in Bhagavad Gita itself by Lord Krishna himself. For instance, Namang dushkritino murha prapadyante naradhamaha mayaya pahrita jnana asurang bhavamashritaha. Persons who do not surrender to me, they do not take shelter in me, Lord Krishna says, are all rascals. That is the way in which Srila Prabhupada often translated this. Dushkriti simply means someone who performs bad activities. They may be quite expert in performing bad activities. Like in Germany, for instance. A very expertly arranged civilization, very intelligently doing stupid things. That's like multiplying 1 by 0, isn't it? 1 times 0 equals 0. Whatever it is, whatever you multiply by 0, it's all 0. So Germans are very intelligent, and don't they know it? But very intelligently arranging a big civilization for absolutely nonsensical activities which are of no benefit to them or anyone else. Not only Germans, but as we happen to be in Germany. And they are, no doubt, or you are, very capable in organizing a society very efficiently based on sense gratification. But that is called dushkriti. Capable but wrong. So, dushkriti, rascal, they're categorized into 4 classes by Lord Krishna. Fools, lowest among mankind, apparently intelligent, but whose actual knowledge is lost to illusion, and just simply out and out demons, just absolutely bad people. So this is one statement of Bhagavad Gita, and there are many others which are very strong. They're certainly not the kind of verses that, or statements that lend themselves to ecumenism. You have that word in German? You know what that means? Ecumenism. It means like, you're looking it up in the dictionary now?
Yeah.
What? Huh? Ecumenismus. In German. Well, it means the attempt to bring religions together, we can say simply. Interfaith is very popular among certain people. So, if we go to an interfaith council and say that anyone who doesn't surrender to Krishna is a fool, rascal, demon, lowest among mankind, it won't go down very well. And in less condemning tone, or you could say in a more positive way, Lord Krishna also points to the exclusivity of Krishna consciousness by stating, Sarvadhaman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. So it doesn't leave any room for anything else, does it? So Krishna consciousness is exclusivist, but not fanatical. How is that possible? A fanatic is someone who thinks that my way is right, everything else is wrong. And that is also what Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita. However, in Bhagavad Gita there are also inclusive statements which might appear to be contradictory. Just like, for instance, we find in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna says to just fix your mind on me. Well, if you can't do that, well, follow the rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga. And if you can't do that, then meditate on me. And he gives various stages of which people may come to, they may gradually advance to the level of Krishna consciousness. We also have Yeshang Twantagatam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam Tedvanva Mohanirvata Bhajante Mandiravata. That persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and who are free from the duality of delusion, they take to devotional service with determination, which means that even if persons in this life are not engaged directly in Krishna consciousness, if they're engaged in pious activities, that's on the way toward Krishna consciousness. And we have also in the 12th chapter of Gita discussing the path of direct worship of Krishna and that of worship of the impersonal absolute. Klesho dhikataraste sham avyakta sakta chetasam. Avyakta, what is that? Avyakta higatir dukam dehavad bhiravakate. Lord Krishna states that the path of impersonal realization is troublesome. But he doesn't out and out reject it in that statement. He says it is a path, it's troublesome, but he doesn't reject it. He says that by following that you can eventually make progress. Of course, elsewhere, Lord Krishna states, he speaks against denial of Krishna's personality. Avyaktam, what's wrong? Avyaktam vyaktim apanam manyante mama buddhayaha. Lord Krishna states that those who are attached to the impersonal, those who consider my personality to have come about from the non-manifest, such persons are unintelligent. And we also have avajananti ma murha manushintanam ashritam param bhavam ajananto. Lord Krishna states that persons are fools who consider that I, Krishna, am just like some other human being who is in a material body, human body. They don't know my supreme nature. Mamavya yamanutamam. That I, unlike ordinary jivas, ordinary living beings, my transcendental form is avyaya. It doesn't deteriorate. It's not an ordinary form. So it appears that Lord Krishna, in one place, somewhat accepts the path of impersonal realization, in other places rejects it. But he specifically rejects the rejection of Krishna's transcendent, those who reject Krishna's transcendental nature. There may be others who don't reject Krishna per se, but they simply have no or little information about him and are attached to the impersonal path. Anyway, there is in Bhagavad Gita, ultimately it appears to be quite, there's no such thing as quite exclusive. Either something's exclusive or it's not. Exclusive means one way. Mamekam sharanam braja, surrender to me only. On the other hand, there is some allowance for other paths which can gradually lead one to a higher level of consciousness. And Lord Krishna also states in Bhagavad Gita, Chartur Vanyang Maya Srishtam. The four divisions of human society into brahmanas, intellectuals, kshatriyas, administrator, warriors and leaders, you can say, kings, vaishyas, farmers, merchants and bankers, and shudras, workers, artisans, slaves practically you could say. These four divisions are there, they are created by Krishna. So Krishna says to ultimately give up all these mundane designations and dharmas, but on the other hand he created that for the uplift of human society. Sve sve karmanya bhirata sangsiddhim labhate naraha. And by working within those divisions, every person can achieve perfection. So there's the yoga ladder Srila Prabhupada referred to. There are processes of gradual advancement, but on the other hand, if one doesn't ultimately come to the perfectional stage, then simply climbing up a ladder, if one fails to come to the top, if one fails to reach the actual goal, then it's a case of a miss is as good as a mile. Do you know that saying? If you miss the target by 1 millimeter, or if you miss it by 10 kilometers, a miss is a miss. You get 0 points. So a slight miss or a big miss, it all comes to 0. So ultimately one has to, on the other hand, if one's a neophyte in shooting or archery, and he's missing, but he's gradually missing the target, but first of all he misses by a big level, and then gradually he gets closer and closer. You could say he's making progress, even though he didn't really get to the point, didn't hit the target yet, but at least has some idea what the target is, and he's gradually improving and getting trained so that he can hit the target. So whether you miss by a meter or a millimeter in a shooting contest, if you miss the target you get 0 marks. But on the other hand, someone who's not actually even ready for the contest, but he's a neophyte in shooting, he's just being trained how to handle the gun, but if he starts to miss just about, or just hits the edge of the target without hitting the bullseye, so he's making progress. But the good trainer won't be content. He won't be content that, so before you were missing by 1 meter, now you're missing by 1 millimeter. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, no, he'll go on training him till he can hit the outer. Gradually, he can hit the board each time, and when he gets bullseye one after the other, then only the trainer will be content. All right, now you go to the contest. So, ultimately, the trainer, why should he be content with his pupil having any less than the best? So, Krishna points us toward full surrender to him, which is the only actual benefit for every living being. And said, without coming to that, then everything else is useless. But on the other hand, there is practice which can help us to come to that stage. So, Krishna consciousness is not fanaticism. It recognizes that there is an ultimate goal without which everything else is useless. But on the other hand, it doesn't decry sincere and well-guided attempts to, and authorized attempts, those which are authorized by accepted authorities, to advance toward that goal. So it may seem like double talk sometimes. Sometimes we say that, well, Krishna consciousness is the only way, and on other times sometimes Srila Prabhupada would criticize Christians for instance, eating meat. On the other hand, he would sometimes say that Christianity is also Vaishnavism. And practically we see that even with the lack of knowledge of who God is and of the process to approach Him, it's a very undeveloped Christianity as it exists in the world today, is when compared to the systems in Vaishnavism. Christianity is a very undeveloped theistic process. But on the other hand, it gives people some kind of a start in theism. If we go to I've had some experience preaching in Buddhist countries, especially the Theravada Buddhism, original Buddhism, hardcore Buddhism, voidism. It's very difficult to preach anything about God there because people don't have any concept of it in their culture. It's like coming to Germany and preaching about hackalums. You've all heard of hackalums. Anyone heard of hackalums? No? So if I was to talk to you about hackalums, you wouldn't know what I was talking about. Well, there is no such thing as far as I know. And maybe in some language there may be such a word. But it's just like that. In Thai language, for instance, they don't have a term for God. So it's just that if you hear a term and you don't know what, it's just like if you hear a word that you know the meaning of, like paper, right? Here is a piece of paper. Even if I don't show you a piece of paper and I say paper, in your mind's eye, you can form a concept of paper. If it wasn't, then we wouldn't be able to have any discussion or transference. There would be no teaching. There would be no telling stories. One person speaks something, the other person hears something, and the concepts which are in one person's mind are transferred by this mystical method of speech, and the person in his mind forms a concept by which he's able to transform that concept into practical action. Just like if someone asks, please bring me a piece of paper. So he goes and finds a piece of paper and brings it. He knows what paper is. But if you say hakalam, and then it's just, what's that? So similarly, in languages where there's no word, there's not even any word for God, it's very difficult for people to even begin to conceptualize what we're talking about. So, Christianity, it may be in some ways taken to task for its failings, but on the other hand, at least some concept of a supreme being who is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. Our Father, there's some idea of personality. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. He has a spiritual world kingdom. Thy will be done, that we should follow his instructions. So there's a start. There's some idea. So of theism. So sometimes Srila Prabhupada said, Christianity and Islam, they're also Vaishnavism. They don't recognize the Supreme Lord specifically as Vishnu, but they have a start. So Krishna consciousness, it's not fanatical because it's one reason is because it's not wholly exclusivist, and it admits the possibility even of the Dushkuti, Mudha, Naratama, Maya, Aparita, Jnana and Asuras, all the sinful people. It also admits the possibility of them in course of time coming to Krishna also. No one's actually excluded. There's no idea that you actually get thrown into hell forever. It might be for a long time, but you can come back again. So everyone has a chance. It's not that anyone is eternally condemned. In Christianity, at least in my upbringing, we heard of eternal damnation. No chance. Finished. You're going to hell forever. Ha 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 ha. Burn in hell, sinner, forever. That's one song I learned at school. God speaking, I will smite 'em ad infinitum. You know what that means? To smite means like to smash them. I will smite. So that's they have their conception of God taking pleasure in eternally punishing people. So it's in an inaccurate conception of God, who is actually all merciful, all sweet, all blissful, all pure, all loving. That is Krishna. But even that limited and inaccurate understanding of God, it's something of a start. So we recognize that also. We say that people have to come further. And if you get stuck on the platform of thinking that, for instance, feeding poor people that's it. Now I'm feeding poor people. Now I'm perfect. Everything. Or now I'm a Christian and I'm saved and everyone else is going to hell. And if you get stuck on that platform, then one is not on the perfectional stage and cannot advance further. So, yes, ultimately one has to surrender to Krishna, understanding Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Merely vague ideas about God or incorrect understanding, that will not help one. So, to come to the perfectional stage. So, in the purport we were reading yesterday, Srila Prabhupada said that both sentimentalism and fanaticism are symptoms of lack of knowledge. In religion, if one is sentimental or fanatical, that is due to lack of knowledge. So Krishna consciousness is based on Veda. It is Veda. Veda means knowledge. And we find in the Vedic literature a comprehensive understanding of the nature of God, His energies, our relations, who we are as living beings in relation to Him, why we are separated from Him, how we can revive our relationship with Him, what will be the result of reviving our relationship with Him, what God does. That's a big step forward, isn't it? What is His spiritual nature? Simply to conceive of Him as the creator of this miserable material world, it's not actually a very glorious description of God. It's just like if we say this architect, this world-famous architect, and now we're going to show you his piece de résistance, the public lavatory. It's not his greatest glory. If he designs a town or a big building And it's not, the toilet is necessary, but it's not, it's not like this crowning glory. So in the same way, this material world, it's the prison house for the incarcerated, offensive souls who have turned away from Krishna. So rather the Krishna's glory is his pastimes in the spiritual world, not his creation of the material world. But due to confusion, people, they think that they don't know anything beyond this material world, and they glorify him as the creator of this world, and they mistake this world to be a happy place. And they think that God's function is to bless us to be happy in this place. That's practically whatever's going on in the name of religion all over the world. People are either denying the existence of God, directly or subtly, or they're praying to him to make us happy in this world. In other words, they haven't got a clue of actually what is the nature of God and our relationship with him, or even the what should be a pretty obvious fact that this material world is simply miserable. It's not a place for our enjoyment, and in fact nowhere is any place for our enjoyment. Everything is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So this knowledge is given in detail in Krishna consciousness, and thus, although everyone will claim to be correct, if one examines objectively, without bias, that's what objectively means, then one will have to conclude that the knowledge and understanding of God and of our existential position, which is given in Krishna consciousness, is far more accurate, realistic, and comprehensive, actually complete, than in any other religious system. Therefore our claim, everyone will say, our path is the best. But if one is actually jignasu, that word, no, actually it didn't come up in the Sanskrit yesterday, but in the English, Prabhupada spoke of persons who are, inquisitive to understand the self. So people are actually interested to understand the nature of reality. They can take to Krishna consciousness, and then when we understand, that this process is required for everyone. And other attempts at theism or yoga or religion or self-realization are insufficient in comparison with that of Krishna consciousness. Therefore we claim that although in one sense Krishna consciousness is extreme, it is not fanaticism. Extreme, yes. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Krishna recommends thinking of me without deviating to any other topic. Ananya chaita satatam. Again, in yatantascha drida vrataha, worshipping Krishna with a firm vow. Mamekam sharanam raja, surrendering to Krishna only. That's what taking shelter of Krishna. You can't really take shelter of many people. So taking shelter means to take shelter of one person. Krishna recommends you take shelter of me. So yes, in one sense it's extreme. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Intensely one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So yes, Krishna consciousness is extreme, and for many people they think, well, it's too extreme. Well, what's this? No intoxication, not even tea or coffee. That seems to be, really, that's a bit much, isn't it? And we say no watching TV, and no anything. Just be Krishna conscious. That's all, nothing else. And people say, well, what will happen to our factories? What will happen to the BMW? How do you say it in German? BMW. That's one of the prides of Munich, right? Just outside the city. So what will happen to that? Well, anyway, even if people don't take to Krishna consciousness, there will come a time when the factory will close down, everything will be destroyed in course of time. In course of time there'll be no Germany, what to speak of BMW. Even the land won't exist. There'll be a fire at the end of the cosmic manifestation. Fire and then rain, and the whole universe will be destroyed. So your autobahn won't help one at that point in time. So Krishna consciousness is the only ultimately beneficial process. And to say that is not extremism, it's realism. It's just being realistic. Just like someone may say, well, I want to be free and do whatever I like. No one should restrain me. But the world doesn't work like that. If you say, well, I'll do whatever I like. I'll wander in the street while the cars are going past at 100 kilometers an hour. You can do that if you like, but you're highly likely to turn into a cadaver quite soon. Cadaver means a dead body. You're likely to get hit by a car and killed. So you can I want to be free and do whatever I like. Here's some nice liquid, white liquid. It looks quite good. Okay, let's drink it. Why should anyone restrain me? And it couldn't be like toilet cleaner or something. And then you're likely to die. That's what children, they like to be free, isn't it? You have to check children all the time, because if you don't, they'll drink toilet cleaner. They'll get hold of the TV and pull it down on top of them and smash the TV and themselves in the process. So they're free and they want to do whatever they like, but they have to be disciplined and they have to be trained for their own good. So the child might think this is really extreme. Whatever I try to do, my parents try to stop me, and then they'll protest. Wah! But at the same time, nevertheless, the parent has to train the child to act in a manner that is beneficial to him or her, as you have to say in the modern age, because we're non-sexist. Anyway, or you have to intersperse hymns with hers, just to prove that we think it's all the same. One's as good as the other. So it may seem extreme, but if we understand what actual reality is, it's just plain common sense. Don't put your hand in the fire. You say, well, what's the harm? The fire's there, I'm here, and put your hand in it. Then your hand gets burned. So it's only common sense to say, don't put your hand in the fire. Or warning, electricity, be careful. Don't open this electrical appliance. Call a trained electrician. So it just makes sense, that's all. If you don't know what you're doing, don't fiddle around with live electrical appliances. So it may seem extreme. Danger, don't enter. If you enter, you're likely to get ripped to bits by dogs. So it's warning you. If you enter, then you get in trouble. So there may be so many apparently extreme statements in Krishna consciousness. Don't eat meat, don't drink wine, don't have illicit sex, don't drink tea or coffee. So it may seem extreme, but it's actually just common sense. It's for the benefit of persons involved. So I want to stop this topic now and go on to another topic soon. But in the meantime, if there are any questions about this, I'll take them before I move on to a different topic within the realm of Krishna consciousness, but quite different to the one I've just been discussing.